if you have something to say to me about that, please do at some stage. But that money is holy. Okay? Not because it's really spiritual, but because I can't use that for anything else. I was joking about going and spending it on the way home. I can't do that. It's holy for that purpose. It's set aside for that purpose and nothing else. It has to be put into the account for that purpose. It's holy. Oh, it's holy, not more spiritual than that. Well, it also has this idea of purity. Because God is a holy God, he's morally perfect and all that. But also he's just set apart. He is himself. He is not us. That's what holy is. And what he's calling is, I want a holy people. I want a people who are set apart, who are special, are used only for me and nobody else. And that's what Leviticus talks about. And it's in a very different culture to our own. We don't understand the whole, we don't see the whole thing about animal sacrifices. Why is that necessary? Different types of animal sacrifice. Some just to be in good relationship with God and with one another. Some about devotion when the whole animal was burnt up. Some of them to deal with sin. But it talks about all of that. But what it says is that the unique system that God set up for the priests, the Levites, so that the sons of the Levi, one of the 12 brothers, is seen in the purity of his worship and the unity of his worship. Everyone was to worship in the same way. They weren't just to go and have a free-for-all. They worship in the same way. So we've got one holy God, and he requires one way of worshipping. And no other system in the peoples around Israel had anything like that. They had many gods. They had different ways of doing things. And the whole thing about sacrifices, as I say, we can be very uncomfortable with it. But fundamentally, the animals that were sacrificed represented people who were sacrificing. That the gift they were giving, or the devotion they were showing to God, or the sin that they were trying to get sorted out, was represented by the animal whose life was shed to sort the things out instead of their own life. And again, we're not familiar with that. Everybody in that world would have been familiar with that. It was normal. What wasn't normal was this was set aside as just one God. It talks about how the priests worked, how to be pure. Basically, it's the health and safety legislation for the people of Israel. It really was. And we can see now the sense in a lot of the rules, the dietary rules and so on. What is it, the famous thing that Jews aren't allowed to eat? Pork. Yeah, not allowed to eat pork. Now, most of us are Irish. We love a bit of pork. We love a good rasher or a sausage. It's hard to live without these things. What's wrong with eating pork? Pork is actually, they're omnivorous pigs. So they eat anything. They're not fussy. So they'll eat stuff which will carry diseases, including, dead bodies and whatever. They'll eat you if you give them half a chance. And they carry a lot of parasites. So in a world that didn't have the sort of hygiene and everything that we have nowadays, it's a good idea not to eat pork. Same with shellfish. They aren't allowed to eat shellfish. Again, what do shellfish live on? The stuff that comes out of the sewers, basically. That's what makes them taste so good. Things like that. But a lot of these things, which again might just seem just ridiculous to us now, they were actually very good health and safety. But also they just set God's people apart. It's different. One chapter which you really should read is Leviticus 16. It's about the Day of Atonement. One day a year, when the sins of the people would be dealt with. Through sacrifice and also through scapegoat, through putting the sins on a goat that was just sent out into the desert. Never to come back again. Sorry. And you need to read it in the light of Hebrews, the book of Hebrews, which talks about a better sacrifice with Jesus. Hebrews 10, 11 to 14. There's also a lot about morals and ethics and stuff about sexual purity, about how to treat one another. Again, there's a lot about that, about being holy because I am holy. Chapter 19, verse 2. And then the last section is about priests and feasts and promises. It talks about all the different feasts and festivals and so on. So that's Leviticus. It really is the book of holiness. And it might seem foreign to us because it's in a very different culture, but it's the same God. And there are lessons there we can learn, and in our own life, even though we're not bound by the same legalistic laws in the same way. Thankfully, because I do love a rasher and shellfish myself. And then the last thing that happened in Sinai was the organization of the people. It was organized how they were going to be camped around the tabernacle. The tabernacle was in the middle, and the 12 tribes were camped around it. Probably something that Moses learnt in Egypt. That's how they sorted out their armies and things. But the difference was God was in the centre. Excuse me. And a few other laws and things that happened there. But there was and these things happened in the beginning of the book of Numbers. The first 12 chapters of Numbers is about organising the people, about where they're going to, what the land is going to be. Moses takes a census of the people to find out how many of them there are and so on. In the middle of that, there's God gives Aaron, who's the high priest, and Moses' brother, gives him something to pray over the people. And just a beautiful prayer to pray. 6:22. I just want to pray it over us, really. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons, this is how you're to bless the Israelites." Here we go with blessing again. Say to them, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace." Like that. You know, in the middle of all these organizations, all these rules and things, that's his heart. He wants to lift his face towards us. He wants to bless us. He wants to give us peace. He wants us to be happy in our own skin.
Where is that?
Numbers 6:22 to 23.